Well, welcome to my home. And today I am going to be doing something I haven't done for a couple of weeks now, and something that I really enjoy, which is, of course, live streaming. There's something about the interaction that you get when you're doing a live stream that you just don't get in a pre recorded video. So the floor is open. I don't have any set topics to talk about today. It's all over to you. It's all about the viewer engagement. So if you do have any topics, any burning questions, things that you'd like to know. It's all about that. So, audience participation is actively encouraged. And I just want to have a good old natter. I want to have a coffee and a natter with everyone. So, I've got my Royal Reviewer mug. You can find this in my store linked below. And I'm going to have a little sip right now whilst everyone drops in. Hello to everyone just dropping in. And also something that I have, oh, I've got some, what's it called? That flavoring, hazelnut coffee flavoring in my coffee. Absolutely delicious. I'm also wearing a tiara today, you may have noticed. It is, of course, the honeysuckle tiara, which I really, really love. So I can see people dropping in already. Um, oh, by the way, I'm doing it in vertical because YouTube recommended doing the live streams in vertical so that it can show on shorts and reels. I have no idea. I'm trying it out. So if you're wondering why we're vertical and not horizontal, that's the reason why. But I do have my really nice kind of fire backdrop on. So I might actually angle myself like this so you can see it. There we go. Right, let's see some comments. I can see James, I can see the Royal Brief, I can see Shays Black, and I can see James Robert all saying hello. So hi to everybody. James says, I bumped into Paul Burrell on Monday night. He gets around. He does. I know he does on Instagram. He posts a lot. By the way, if you didn't know who Paul Burrell is, he was he worked with Diana during her lifetime up until the point where she passed away. So, and he's been in the media a lot, and he does lots of things now on Instagram, Burrell's Britain, where he goes around and sees lots of interesting places in the UK. So if you want to follow him on there, but that would be really lovely to have bumped into Paul Burrell. Lucia says, hi, not a lot happened from a royal point of view. Well, we've had a little bit. I mean, we've had the royal engagements never stop, even though lots of royal engagements are not highly publicised. And of course, I'm talking about the other working royals. Lots, most of what King Charles and Queen Camilla, and of course William and Catherine get up to makes it into the media, but not everything that Princess Anne, Edward and Sophie, any of the other sort of working royals, and there are, there is still, a couple of working royals that were the Queen. I mean, even Princess Alice is still technically a working royal, but she doesn't do many engagements. So from a lot of the other royals that are technically working royals, we don't often see the exposure that we get with the King and the Queen and William and Catherine. And of course, the exposure that Harry and Meghan are still garnering, even though they've stepped back. So the work still continues. The Duke of Edinburgh, of course, it still feels weird calling him the Duke of Edinburgh, but the Duke of Edinburgh, Prince Edward, has been doing work with the Duke of Edinburgh Award. We've seen Catherine out and about. There's lots of things going on, just not necessarily highly publicised things. And of course, we're looking kind of forward to this autumn period. So I always think the royal year, that period in between the end of the summer holidays and Christmas, always seems to fly by. So the royals like to pack lots of kind of autumn winter engagements in. You'll often see them out and about in their sort of thick coats, doing lots of walkabouts still. But don't forget, Her late Majesty used to kind of gradually, her return to London got later and later. So her stay at Balmoral became longer and longer. I think with King Charles, he enjoys going up to Balmoral, and he's kind of splitting his time between the main Balmoral Balmoral Castle, and Burke Hall on the Balmoral estate. So, but he's not having a prolonged stay at Balmoral. So the return to work for the working royals is a little bit earlier, and they have been back to work. Like I say, it's a bit of a weird period because no sooner have you kind of wound up for the autumn winter, then you're kind of winding down again for the Christmas period. I'm not saying the royals don't work hard at Christmas, and I'm hoping this year we get another something else from William and Catherine. I loved Catherine's kind of piano concert, that carol concert she did where she played. Is she any better at the piano than last time? I would imagine so, because we did see at the coronation concert she was tinkling on those ivories. So she seems like she's really getting good at the piano. So I think my prediction is that the lure of being able to perform might be a little um, hard to resist. So I'm hoping we'll get another carol concert. It's very festive. I also loved when they worked with Mary Berry. That was really lovely. So I'm hoping we'll see something Christmassy and festive from William and Catherine. Also, Charles and Camilla, the King and Queen. I would love to see something festive from them. Of course, my one of my highlights when the Queen was the Duchess of Cornwall was when she invited those children to hang the decorations on the trees. I've made many videos covering that event in the past. That's always a particular highlight. But of course, they're now no longer. Well, no, they kind of are at Clarence House because they're still staying there whilst the Buckingham Palace resurfacing works are still being completed. But will they be having sort of that event now at Windsor? I imagine they'll probably spend a couple of weeks before going to Sandringham. I'm going to predict they're going to be at Windsor a lot more. Right, I'm going to read some questions. Like I said, audience participation is key to this one. Hello, Christine. Hello, Kizzy. Hello, Lucia, who says the thing I'm waiting for is the 18th birthday of the Prince of Belgium. It will be a white tie event, so tiaras and gowns. Oh, I'm with you. Absolutely. Tiaras, royal family orders, sashes. Yes, I'm ready for a white tie and tiara event. Absolutely. I'm still not 100% over no tiaras at the coronation, to be quite honest. But anyway, we won't mention that again. Lauren says, hi, just a quick hello from me. Hope you're well. Loving the tiara and the autumn theme at the back. Yes, I like putting a nice little seasonal backdrop on the TV. I think it adds a little certain something, makes it homely. K 2003. Oh, I remember the year well. 20 years ago, my goodness. Where do you see the royal family in the next 20 years? Do you think their relevance will change? I think the relevance won't change, but I think how they operate will, if that makes sense. So the constitutional monarchy, I can't see changing. I know there's always rumblings about anti-monarchists, but in the UK, there's no appetite, no real popular appetite for a vote, a referendum on I mean, we don't have a constitution. Do you know what I mean? We have this kind of unwritten kind of we have a mixture of laws that kind of make up how we operate. And of course, the closest we've got to a constitution, a formal written down one, is the Magna Carta. So we're going back quite a while for that one. So I don't see the constitutional monarchy changing. That means that the role won't change, i.e., that the sovereign is head of state, but yet leaves all of the everyday decision making to an elected government and then basically rubber stamps those laws from Parliament into effect. That key function, I don't think, is going to change. Neither do I think there will be any change with regards to the Church of England. What I do think we will see is the royal family reflecting the cultural changes that are coming in. And of course, over the last 20 years, we've had so many cultural changes. What was once acceptable to say, think, do, act is now, it's moved on. And I think that's what's going to happen with the royal family. They are going to adapt and move on. And we are seeing those changes and we are seeing those lessons learned now. I mean, even as far as last year with William and Catherine's Caribbean tour, massive lessons were learned. Just like I said, what was acceptable 5 years ago is now no longer culturally acceptable to do. Optics are going to be is going to be the buzzword. People are now going to be thinking at the palace, how will this look? How will this come across? Also, the Commonwealth is a big question and something that I don't think anyone can predict what's going to happen with the Commonwealth. We know that obviously King Charles will be head of the Commonwealth until his passing. I think that's pretty much anticipated. I imagine that King Charles will do the same as what Her late Majesty did and recommend that it's his sincere wish that William take over, but a vote would have to happen on that. It's not automatic, and I can't see that being changed. But the Commonwealth is the one that I'm not sure about. I think in terms of Caribbean countries and other countries where the sovereign is head of state, they may leave. I think we are seeing a growing trend for that. I mean, it's a completely separate issue of whether or not that's a good or negative thing. I think different people will have different views on that one. So we'll see how it goes with the Commonwealth and also the sovereign being head of state of certain countries. But other than that, I don't necessarily think that the role is going to change. I think the role works very well as long as everyone is on the same page, has everyone's read the same memo. And I think what we saw with Harry and Meghan, and contrast that with William and Catherine, is that William and Catherine got the memo, they're on the same page, they're playing the game well. Harry and Meghan looked at the game and said, no, that's not for us, we're out, but also wanted to affect change on the way. And that's never going to happen. With the monarchy, there's always a slow change, there's always a slow progression. And that's what I think we're going to see over the next 20 years. So that was a really good question. Thank you. I hope I've covered it well. Um, Let me go up and see because I've had lots of comments come in. By the way, hello to everyone. I might not get a chance to say hi to everyone individually, so I'm just going to read some questions. Shays Black says, would you happen to know if there will be any more Gillies balls held at Balmoral? There may already have been one. I haven't heard that one's happened, but it's traditional. A lot of the staff on the estates are involved in it. So if there was going to be a Gillies ball, I imagine that's happened probably towards more the end of the summer. So I haven't heard anything. Obviously, it was very rare to get that footage of the Gillies ball where Her late Majesty and the Queen Mother and Prince Charles, Prince of Wales, as he was then, were all sort of dancing, and the Duke of Edinburgh and Princess Anne. That was quite rare. So no, I haven't heard it's happened, but I can't see a reason why it wouldn't. Who doesn't love a good bagpipe in a dance? I absolutely would love to attend a Gillies ball. Um, Lucia says the question that I saw a lot of people ask themselves recently is this one: Prince George will go to Eton College. It's expected, not confirmed, but expected. Or he will go to a different, less traditional middle school. I don't think so. I think he's already been seen visiting Eton. So that's a really good sign. Plus the positioning of where they are. They moved to Windsor, to Adelaide Cottage for a reason. And it wasn't just, I think people at the time thought, well, maybe it's more to be towards, be close to the Queen in her later years. But no, I think it was definitely a strategic move. Adelaide Cottage on the Windsor estate, all at the moment, all children are kind of going pretty much to the same school, makes it easier. And also, Eton College is just over the river, just a stone's throw away. So it makes sense that Eton College would be the one. It's traditional. His father went there. So, and as far as I'm aware, William had a really good experience at Eton. So everything's close. They can also, they have been using Windsor Castle for lots of big engagements and receptions. So they're in a good strategic place. Whether or not they will remain at Adelaide Cottage, I don't know. One person, I think I read, no, it wasn't a person, it was an article I read that said maybe William and Catherine have escaped a bullet in because of Prince Andrew staying at Royal Lodge. I made a video about Royal Lodge yesterday, so if you haven't seen that, go and take a look. I delved into that really in depth, so that explains a lot of things. So I think the more smaller, streamlined Adelaide Cottage is probably a good place to stay. It's not as big as Royal Lodge. It's not as big as Kensington Palace. It's not their apartment at Kensington Palace. It's not as big as their home at Anmer Hall. And we still don't know 100% how they are using all of those properties. In the week, because of school, their main home will be Adelaide Cottage. That's just logical. So Monday to Friday, I can see them remaining at Windsor. Now, if they want to decamp to Anmer Hall in Norfolk for the weekend, they could, as soon as the kids finish school on Friday, ready for school on the Monday. But the house that and also school holidays I used is Kensington Palace, their apartment there, which is a huge wing, if you like, or part of a wing. Um, that's the one that I think is not going to be used as much, but they have their offices there. So it makes sense to kind of keep it, but also in the future, they will need a London home when all the children are grown up and they are needed more in London. They will be well positioned at Kensington Palace. So I think they thought about strategically what their needs are going to be now and in the future. So having these three homes may seem rather excessive, but actually, when you think strategically, it makes sense to kind of keep them. But the one that's going to suffer is definitely Kensington Palace in the immediate term. But at least they have somewhere to go if they have an engagement there. Also, William and Catherine was seen at an antiques sale, an auction, and I was thinking, people were well. The article I read said maybe they're buying presents for their family for Christmas. I don't think it's Christmas presents. I think what it is they're trying to complete the furnishings of Adelaide Cottage because they wouldn't have moved everything out of the Norfolk home because they still visit there. They wouldn't have moved everything out of Kensington Palace because it pays to have everything still there. So they would have had to have had new things, even things from the Royal Collection that are not on display, to furnish Adelaide Cottage if it wasn't already furnished. And if it was already furnished, it might not have been to their taste. So they may have actually been looking for some auction pieces to finish off bits and pieces at Adelaide Cottage. That's my kind of assumption on that one. So good question from Lucia. Thank you very much. Lauren says, I'm loving how we are seeing more of the Edinburghs. Absolutely. They've always been kind of the low-key sung heroes of the royal family, quietly getting on with it, not wanting the glory, not wanting, I mean, I'm sure, some positive attention would be, they've always thought that would be nice, but they've not wanted the limelight. They've not wanted the glory, unlike some. They've just quietly got on with it, as has Princess Anne. I mean, she's kind of this stalwart of the royal family. But no, the Edinburghs are definitely coming into their own, and they are key for this next sort of 20-year period, of which by that point they themselves, will have wound down. So we definitely have this kind of interim period between having what I would call a full set of working royals and what's going to come up with the Wales children over the next 20 years. Carol says, how are you feeling about Catherine rocking pantsuits? We call them in the UK it's trouser suits, but I know what you mean, pantsuit. And that stunning hairstyle. I was wondering how she would differentiate her Princess of Wales fashion from her Duchess of Cambridge days. Well, if you've watched this channel for a long time, I have always said there is three periods, three stages, if you like, of Catherine. It's almost like a caterpillar. So hear me out on the caterpillar analogy. So when she married William, she was Duchess of Cambridge. That was almost like her caterpillar stage. You know, she was kind of green and young uh, to everything, and the jewelry that she wore, the clothes that she wore, became more elevated. But I always thought that that was kind of like stage one. Then she would always become Princess of Wales, although it wasn't automatic. But we all knew that she'd become Princess of Wales. So now she's kind of in that kind of pupate stage. She's kind of in her chrysalis, if you like. And now I think we will see even more highly elevated fashions. And of course, just like Diana in her day, Diana kind of had her working wardrobe very much separate from her everyday at home with the kids wardrobe, even more different to her going out attending film premieres, glamorous wardrobe. What we're seeing now is Catherine elevating her her kind of public engagement wardrobe, her kind of, if you like, her office wear. Diana kind of had the powered jackets with the kind of just above the knee length skirt and the tights. That's what she wore for her engagements. We're seeing Catherine stepping into the pantsuit, trouser suit look. I think it suits her. I think it's stylish. She's elevating it all the time. Over the years, we've seen little subtle changes to her hair. I think at one point she went, quite short for her. We've seen her kind of play around with highlights a little bit, but she's always kept that kind of chestnut hair. Would I like to see her change her hair completely? Wouldn't it be fabulous just to see her go from this long mane of hair that she's known for, these glossy, gorgeous locks, to suddenly kind of chop it off like into like this really cute pixie cut. I think that would be fabulous. I think if she was going to change her hair to anything, this kind of cute, kind of pixie look, I think would be fantastic. I'd love to see that on her. And like I say, when she's the next stage is, of course, when she emerges from that chrysalis into a butterfly as Queen Consort of the United Kingdom. Hello to everyone joining. Sorry I can't say hi to you all individually. Lauren says, I should imagine we will know more on Prince George's education shortly. Yeah, we haven't got to wait that much longer. Uh, and then, like with most royal watching, a lot of it is kind of speculation, and then we get the facts. So sometimes the speculation is fun, as long as we clearly label it as speculation. Lauren says, sadly, I think. Oh no, hang on. I've missed Dawn's question. Looking forward to the state visit next month. Guesses again on the colour of the ribbon for the family order. Should it come out? Yes. We are hoping, fingers crossed, we finally get the King Charles III family order. It would be a really good opportunity to unveil it. We're also going to be, thinking about the colour of the ribbon. My prediction was, if you remember the kind of coronation, the official merch, if you like, the commemorative pieces, that kind of colour, I think that might be the royal family order colour, but we're going to have to wait and see. So fingers crossed that we do get to see it. It would be a good chance to unveil it. Lauren says, sadly, I think while King Charles is king, we may see less tiaras and maybe more flower pieces. You might be right. I hate to say it, but you might be right. But no, still, if it's a white tie event, still, if it's a state banquet, I'm hoping that we'll get a tiara. And I can't wait to see some of the late Queen's pieces being worn by Queen Camilla, by Catherine, and of course, some other royals as well, perhaps. They could be on long term loan. Lucia says Princess Anne and the new Duke of Edinburgh are amazing, even if they are a little more backstage royals. Yeah, they are kind of like the supporting cast, but don't forget, in the supporting cast, there comes a lot of. They're like the backbone. They are the unsung heroes, but people respect them for doing it. And I think that's what Harry and Meghan couldn't see. I think Harry and Meghan saw didn't want to kind of play second fiddle to William and Catherine, but at the same time, they didn't look to other family members who had had very successful, very well respected roles within the family. They only had to look to Princess Anne, Prince Edward, to realize that, being that supportive role can bring so much respect and also have a lot of positive impact. Richard says, in the next 20 years, I think more countries will remove Charles as head of state and become republic within the Commonwealth. It's already happening, and it is quite possible that it will continue. Like I say, whether that's good or bad remains to be seen. But every country has its choice. Lucia says, I see Princess Catherine has become a lot more confident. I mean, that's just an age thing, isn't it? I think people grow into their roles. Let's not forget William, when he was younger, he was, quite shy. He kind of still did that kind of Diana downward look thing, kind of sort of tried to hide behind that mop of hair. As he's got older, he's come into his own. And now, as Prince of Wales, he has fully accepted his destiny, embraced it, and that confidence is just oozing through. I've said it many times in the videos that I've seen of him since becoming Prince of Wales. He's radiating more, yeah, confidence, and that's sort of making him look even more attractive, if you like. And I think lots of people are noticing. It's a subtle change, but it's one that you can really see, if that makes sense. Um, Sandeep says, I was just curious what merited the ceremonial funeral of Lord Mountbatten and Lady Thatcher. I think when it comes to, I mean, you can also include the Princess of Wales, Princess Diana, in that as well, and Winston Churchill, any kind of really prominent figure that has had an impact on the public. Now, of course, Lady Thatcher was a very contentious figure, but she was a very important one, nevertheless. And her tenureship, her quite long tenureship of being prime minister during that period, did bring along a lot of change, and it oversaw a lot of prosperity for the country. So, regardless on your thoughts of Margaret Thatcher and the political party that she's affiliated with, she oversaw a period of great change, where a lot of people in this country did become more wealthy. Not everybody, I know, not everybody, and there was lots of contentious things going on. But that aside, generally speaking, Britain became more wealthy under Margaret Thatcher. And of course, Lord Louis Mountbatten, obviously well respected, but also, from the royal family themselves being related to him. So if someone um, has made an impact. Winston Churchill. Diana was obviously loved by the people, so Diana ended up basically a semi-state funeral. So there's no rule to it. It's just kind of, if there is an appetite for it, then it happens. But not necessarily just a public appetite, also a political one as well. So yes, good question. One that I haven't got a definitive answer for. It's all kind of like the public psyche, the public mood, the political mood, where we are. There's lots of things that come into play, is the honest answer to that question. Let's have a look. I'm probably not going to get to read everyone's questions, so I'm just kind of scooting up and down. Sandeep says, why hasn't Queen Elizabeth had a memorial service like the Duke of Edinburgh after a year of her demise? They're waiting for this statue, I believe. So there has been initial stages undertaken for this commemorative statue. Well, not necessarily a statue, a memorial. It hasn't been decided what form it's going to take. And of course, that's going to coincide with what would have been her 100th birthday. So I think what we'll see is more of a commemoration round about what would have been her 100th birthday, the unveiling of this commemorative whatever it's going to be. So I think that is why. And then I think there'll be quite a big fuss made of it. Kimberly says, "Oh, you wore a tiara." I did. Please wear them more often. That's why I first started watching you because I thought it was so cute. Well, I have one on today. It's the honeysuckle tiara. Right, I'm going to see if there's anything I've missed because I probably have. Let's have a look. Shay says, "You think it was never about playing second fiddle; it was about being sold out to the press." I disagree. I'm going to have to say I completely disagree. Harry himself in Spare, pointed out. I mean, the reason why it's called Spare is because he was the spare, which is second fiddle. It was all about, well, most of it. I would say 80% about being second fiddle, about being the spare. You've only got to look at everything that came out of Spare, how it's written, that Harry has never been happy with being the spare. He's never been happy being second fiddle to William. He made it abundantly clear in Spare. That's his own words. So no, I don't. You can't just peg that on the press. That all royals have had bad extreme press at some point. You cannot say that it is literally just the press. Harry, in his own words, it's like a document detailing what he wanted to put out there. I'm not saying that everything in there is true and accurate. It's his account, but basically, it's called Spare. It's all about being second fiddle. Let's have a look. Right, and I think I'm going to leave it here. Thank you for joining in. I will observe the analytics to see if this more vertical format has worked, horizontal um, has worked, vertical has worked or not. So we might be going back to landscape next time. If you've enjoyed the live chat, please let me know in a comment section. If you have any other questions that I haven't answered that are really burning and pressing, leave a comment and I will see if I can answer them on the comments or I can read them out next time. So thank you for watching the video. If you've enjoyed it, please give it a big old thumbs up. Don't forget to share on social media. And of course, do hit that bell so that you know whenever I upload a new video. So until next time, from me to you all, and goodbye.